Hello everyone and welcome back to Scandinavian Design 101. I'm Sanna.
I'm Andreas and we are two Swedes and we love design.
We do, and for like hundreds of videos now, we've been talking about specific designers and manufacturers. We've given you introductions to megastars like Wegner and Juhl, and we've visited companies like Swedese and OH Sjögren to show you how high quality furniture are made. But today, it's time to go back to the basics.
Yes.
Our YouTube channel is called Scandinavian Design 101. But what is Scandinavian design?
Yeah.
At first, it seems like a quite simple question to answer. But it turns out it's more complicated than that.
Yes, it is. But before talking about design, we must sort out what Scandinavia actually is. And that answer is really simple. Scandinavia is the three countries Denmark, Sweden and Norway. Nothing more and nothing less. Norway and Sweden is located on the Scandinavian peninsula, and Denmark is also included for some reason. Don't ask me why, but it is. Yeah. It's interesting to note that Finland is not a part of Scandinavia. The Nordic countries, on the other hand, includes the three Scandinavian countries, as well as Finland, Iceland, Greenland, and some other small territories too. With that said...
Svalbard,
maybe. Yes, and Åland, I think, is included. Yeah, but some small islands, like, yeah. But with that said, is Scandinavian design everything designed in these three countries, Denmark, Sweden and Norway? Well, I don't think the answer is quite as simple as that.
When talking about Scandinavian design, the expression normally refers to the clean and simple modernist style that emerged after World War II. I found a quote by Elizabeth Gordon, who was editor of the interior magazine House Beautiful between 1941 and 64. And she described Scandinavian design like this. It's an alternative to Nazi-era design, fascism, democratic, natural, minimal, intimate, and focused on the home and family, not the state.
Yeah.
This was said more than 70 years ago, but it's actually a good and useful explanation if you want to understand the Scandinavian design philosophy. It's not just the aesthetics, but also a way of life adapted for the harsh climate of the north.
Yeah.
And it is harsh.
Yeah.
The concept of beautiful things that make your life better was highly regarded, and the aim was to create accessible and affordable products. Aesthetically, Scandinavian design is characterized by minimalism, clean lines, and light spaces. The goal is to combine functionality with beauty and to create objects and interiors free from unnecessary ornamentation and clutter. The word unnecessary is really important here. It's not about stripping off all ornamentation and totally disregarding all aesthetic considerations. But over-decoration and overworked constructions should be avoided.
Yes,
at all costs.
That's the key. The colors used are often neutral and monochromatic, with strong colors sometimes used as accents here. And light is also an essential part of Scandinavian design. The winters in the Nordic region are long and dark. They really, really are. It's still winter here. Yeah. And light is therefore celebrated and always sought after. And the summers, on the other hand, are short but highly appreciated after a long month of snow and darkness. And bringing the outdoors in is therefore an important part of Scandinavian interior design. Live plants are popular, as are uncovered wooden floors. If the weather is horrible outside, at least you can have some plants and trees inside by doing so. Conservatories and balcony glazing are, for the same reason, extremely popular here in Sweden. Yeah.
Natural materials like wood, wool, and leather are most often used, and it's easy to understand why. Large parts of the Nordic area is covered in forests, mainly pine trees. Historically, wood has been extremely important for the economy, and traditionally almost everything was made from wood. Most houses, all furniture, and even the housewares. In the old farmer households, there were no porcelain or glass, but plates and jugs made from the local wood. The people took care of the local natural resources and made sure they were used in the best way. This tradition lived on, and when German modernists used tubular steel, their Nordic followers preferred wood instead. In Finland, Alvar Aalto created cantilever chairs using bentwood, and in Sweden, Bruno Mattsson and Yngve Ekström developed wooden resting chairs using the same technique. In a way, bentwood became the tubular steel of Scandinavia.
Yeah. Now we have established some of the main parts of Scandinavian design, but when did this aesthetic emerge? Well, the large breakthrough came already in 1930 when a large exhibition was held in Stockholm. The 1930 Stockholm exhibition was largely inspired by international modernism, of course, not least by the Bauhaus school in Germany, and was visited by architects and designers from all parts of Scandinavia. Functionalist ideas was spread among Swedish architects, and it was no surprise the slogan of the 1930 Stockholm exhibition was acceptera, which is Swedish for accept. The architects behind the exhibition just wanted the Swedish people to accept modernism and mass production. And this started a big conflict among architects. Traditionalists like Carl Malmsten, for example, didn't like these new ideas and promoted a more traditional approach to design. And he soon came in conflict with colleagues like Bruno Mattsson, who almost entirely focused on function. And the battle between the old and the new was clearly visible at the exhibition, not least when it came to furniture design. Strict functionalistic furniture shared space with exclusive pieces made by cabinet makers using traditional craftsmanship. And after the exhibition, quite a few architects believed that functionalism would totally replace traditional furniture, but pure modernism had a hard time attracting ordinary people. And soon modernism and tradition started to melt together into the Scandinavian design aesthetic. Functional object design with an aesthetic consideration is still today highly associated with Scandinavian design.
In contrast to the international modernist movement, tradition lived on in the Nordic countries. And this is true for most Scandinavian design, but was most evident in Denmark. It's sometimes said that modern Danish design started with the architect Kåre Klint. It's obviously not that simple, but he was without doubt essential for the Danish design wonder. His four-boy chair, designed in 1914, is often considered to be the first ever truly modern chair designed in Denmark. According to Klint, a furniture designer should always start by studying antique and even ancient furniture models. By doing so, furniture design became all about refinement instead of revolutionary innovations. Yeah. These ideas more or less influenced most Danish furniture designers for the simple reason that Kåre was the founder and teacher of the furniture department at the School of Arts and Crafts in Copenhagen, where they all went to school.
Yeah, they all did.
Modernism was placed in relation to historical predecessors, and by doing so, functional furniture were given a human touch.
Yes, they did.
A human touch.
Yeah. But when talking about craftsmanship, it's impossible not to mention the annual exhibitions arranged by the Copenhagen Cabinet Makers Guild between 1927 and 1966, quite a few years. And I would say these collaborations between designers and cabinet makers were the main reason why Danish design was so successful. Hans J. Wegner collaborated with Johannes Hansen, and Börje Mogensen with Erhard Rasmussen, and Finn Juhl, of course, with Nils Wodder, just to mention a few. Collaborations like these led to iconic pieces of exclusive furniture not intended to be mass-produced. But they were soon transformed into models adapted for industrial production and made accessible for common people. And they were simplified to enable industrial production, but the beautiful aesthetic remained.
With all this said, why is Scandinavian design so popular?
Yeah.
Well, guess there's a lot of different reasons, of course. Already in the 1930s, modernism had a hard time competing with traditional furniture. Common people just didn't demand tubular steel furniture, and modernist interiors reminding them of sterile hospital.
Yeah, and often they do. I mean, it looks like hospital interiors, like this Bauhaus interiors.
By combining the modernist ideal with beauty and craftsmanship, customers slowly started to accept the modernist style. Still today, Scandinavian design objects are admired for this reason, and it's certainly one of the reasons for their popularity. And also, the golden age of Scandinavian design was in the decades after World War II. The furniture designed were adapted for the small apartments that were being built all over Scandinavia, and still today most people live in relatively small homes.
Yeah.
And this makes Scandinavian mid-century furniture ideal for the modern way of life as well.
Yeah. But perhaps we shouldn't overanalyze either. I mean, a given reason for the Scandinavian design wonder was obviously the fact that a lot of really talented designers lived and worked in Scandinavia during the 20th century. There were a lot of great schools for design and several organizations promoting the ideal of beautiful things that make your life better. All this combined simply resulted in a huge lot of amazing design objects. Yeah.
Easy as that.
Yeah. And that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new. And please tell us in the comments what you think about Scandinavian design. We really want to hear it.
Yeah, we'd love to. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.